Okay, hello guys, can you hear me? Hello. Okay, good. So it's been so long since we having some IELTS speaking practice. So today, let's practice it again, shall we? Okay. So I have a new forecast, new forecast for the speaking test. So, yep, this one is the official forecasting for IELTS speaking in the final quarter of the year. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first thing first, let's talk about old buildings. Have you ever seen some old building in the city? Well, apparently yes. In fact, I just saw saw an old building this morning. That building is near my house, which is located in the center of Hanoi, and it is about 10 feet tall, and the square meter is about 200 meters. So that building attached to me attaches to me for has been attached to me for a long time since I was a child. I think that since I was a child, and to be honest, it's not just about the memory value, but it's all about the cultural value for everybody live around me. What do you like about old buildings? Hmm. Interesting question. Um, I would say that it's about the historic buildings. This is because each of us, each of the building, not just each of the old building, has its own history, and you know, that history has a lot of memories, and also, and that well, historic buildings is about the historic value. Um, let's just talk about the building that I just mentioned above. It's all about that. I mean, when I was a child, I that building was built about 20 years ago by a rich man, by a rich man. Then his fam that rich man, he did a lot of great things to to his nearby community. So when and as a result, when he passed away, and the people there want to but memorize him, but however don't have they didn't have anything to they didn't have anything to memorize him. So uh, the the old building is his key factor to memorize what he had done to the community at that time. Do you think it's important to preserve old buildings, and why? Why or what? Hmm. In my opinion, absolutely yes. Uh, it's in fact in Vietnam they have a ministry. Sorry, yeah, not a ministry, a department to preserve old buildings and architecture in general. This is because the this because to me old buildings or architecture in general, it is the root of a whole country. If we lost if we if we do not preserve and lose um, all the old buildings, or all the ancient architecture, um, the value of our culture in general will be will be in vain. And additionally, history is uh, in additionally, according to research, most of the tourists around the world decided to who decide to go to visit. Most of the tourists around the world decide to, according to research, most of the tourists uh, who decide to visit a country is heavily influenced by the history and the history of the architecture, and the history of architecture and his whole country in general, and architecture plays a vital role. Do you prefer new buildings when it comes to aesthetics and architecture? Let's see. I am a tech. I am an innovative person, so apparently I will pay a lot of attention to new buildings. So I would say yes. I would say yes. This is because new buildings right now at present in this contemporary era, new buildings requires not just the quality of the materials to build it, but also the mindset of the architect of the architects. I vividly remember that when I was a child, there was a neighbor who is a great architect in my nearby. So now he's kind of like a millionaire in Vietnam. That is because uh, he has contributed a lot to the building of the whole country of the whole country. The building he's built is not just some are sophisticated and some are minimal. Mhm. So let's talk about cycling. Would you like to buy a bicycle? Mm, uh, of course, of course, of course. In fact, I bought. Currently, I am having two bicycle, which were bought 2 years ago, 2 and 3 years ago, respectively, and I don't even understand why I have this strange hobby, this strange collecting bike hobby, and that is my hobby, and buying bike not just help me, hobby. And so, do you like cycling? Absolutely yes. In So I consider cycling one of the, the highest, the top priority when it comes to do exercise, and I really have done a lot of research on the benefits of cycling to our health, and I find that cycling not just enhance your physical health, but it also plays a crucial role in mental health, and some of the mental health that I can mention is about sorry it's about you can travel, you can kind of have a short distance travel around your living area. So that's the thing that makes me have a mania for cycling. Do you think the ride bicycle? Ah, well, to be honest, let's see. Did you ride bike when you were a kid? I would say sometimes I sometimes rode it, and I kind of regret when I was and now I kind of regret a lot, that a lot, but not at that time. I remember that I often spend a lot of my time on all the exercise, other forms of exercise such as running, jogging, or maybe play football. That I don't spend much time for cycling, and I didn't spend much time for cycling. I think that is, in my opinion, I think that is because me in something that I just don't want to sit. I say I didn't want to sit at that when I was a child. I just want to run, walk and move by my feet, not by standing up and go around, not by not by sitting on the bike and riding it around the city. Do you think Vietnamese people will cycle more in the future? Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, in fact, the Ministry of Transportation in Vietnam have public have just public science research about young people, the trend the trend of young people, the trend of Vietnamese people, uh, the trend of using transportation in Vietnam, and surprisingly, they found that Vietnamese people about half of a century ago, they used to travel by bike a lot due to the lack the shortage of money, but but now but now when they have money and in the future but now they and in the future they started to cycle more, not because they don't have money, but that is because they started to be aware of they start to be aware of the benefits of the cycle as well as the drawbacks of using vehicles such as scooters and cars. So yeah, apparently I believe this trend will continue. The, okay, so let's talk about breakfast. Do you make your own breakfast or eat out? I would say that I am an outdoor person. So when it comes to having breakfast, it's no exception. I often go outside and eat. That is well partly because my day is extremely busy that I don't have time to cook and to do the dishes in the morning. So it so I often wake up, even though I wake up so early at about 5 or 6 a.m. and I still choose to go outside and have a bowl of pho or a loaf of banh mi. Additionally, having the breakfast in Vietnam, uh, breakfast outdoor breakfast in Vietnam is kind of like healthy. So when you have it, you don't have to concern about the nutrition it brings to you. Um, do you often eat breakfast? Okay, so to me, breakfast is a must. I would say it is a must, and if I didn't had have breakfast, if I do not, if I don't have breakfast, I my day will cannot go smoothly. I remember that when I was a child, about when I was a child, I used to skip breakfast once, and consequently, I feel sick and I feel sick and nausea. That I felt sick and nausea, and my teacher had to take me to the hospital. That is the time. Uh, it was the time, and from that time, I started to recognize the importance of breakfast to me. It's it's the it's the meal that provides you energy for literally whole day, for all days. So is it important to eat breakfast? No. is it important to eat breakfast? Um, as I mentioned above, breakfast is a must to me, and I think for all people in general. I, uh, in fact, I read a paper from Google Scholar, uh, doing scholar researching about comparing about doing researching about two groups of people. One they just have one they have breakfast, and the other one they didn't have breakfast, and they follow the subject. They do the research for like 2 months to compare their performance in their study and their job. As a result, at the end of the test of the experiment, they found that who chose to have those who chose to have breakfast, uh, you know, those who choose to have breakfast perform much better in both. uh, uh, it can be said that having breakfast is vital to everybody. Did you usually have breakfast when you were a kid? Yeah, I would say that when I was a kid, I often skipped breakfast. I remember that I was I usually at that time I usually skip 3 days, skip 4 days in a week, which is more than a half. And I don't. In fact, before recognizing the importance of having breakfast, I don't even understand. In fact, I don't even understand why why my little me at that time can stay stay stable and stay stable and even still have full energy to be active for whole day without having breakfast. Okay, so let's talk about teachers. Do you think high school students high school students should be encouraged to make comment on their teacher? Hmm. Interesting questions. Um, I would say yes, and every high school should encourage this action and this action. This is because high school students in Vietnam they are from uh, 15 to 17, in which according to science they have fully developed their awareness, so they can start to decide which is good for them and which is not. So high by by encouraging them to comment to, to comment on those who teach them directly. uh, the teacher could be benefited by understanding what they should improve, and from the student side they can they might be able to enhance their ego, I would say that. um what do you think makes a good teacher? Let's see. um Currently I am a teacher, so I understand this quietly well. And in my opinion, there are three things to make someone a good teacher. The first is about their qualification, sorry, about their profession. This can be illustrated by their degree, such as like master, doctorate, and even like IELTS could be a good, a good scale of their profession. The second factor is about their ability to transfer the knowledge to the student understandably. Um, and the third factor is about their virtue. If the if the teacher, let's just say, if the teacher had have 10 boxes of knowledge, but they only give to the student like 5 or 6 boxes of them, five of them, then the teacher will be like, um, the the of them is of them that would be like, that would be like, it's not what a teacher should do, to me, in my opinion. So yeah, that yeah, had 10 boxes, and they only to this gave to the student, for like half of them. That would be a good teacher. I would say that is a businessman. An entrepreneur, a businessman. Yeah. So what are the most qualities of a good teacher? Let's see. I would say that is the virtue virtue of the teacher. The virtue here, like the question above, I just mentioned about the number of knowledge the teacher should share to their students, which is all of everything they have. In addition to that, they should put their heart into every student. I know that in Vietnam, every teacher, have open their personal extra classes for the students, and they and those who and students who involve in that classes will be treated better in class, and those who in class, and this will create an inequality in classes, and this is not what the teachers should should orient. Do you want to be a teacher? Currently I am a teacher now, so teacher now, but and I am still plan to, and I still have a wish to be a teacher in the future. um, this comes from two reasons. First of all, I am also an astrologer. Yeah, I am also an astrologer, and when I look at my something called later chart, my later chart, it is some kind of like a chart a chart about your life, your whole life. And when I looked at the chart, I recognized that my destiny to this life is to share my knowledge to other people. And the other factors, this list and this has led to the second factor. That is because factor, which is I love to share knowledge to students. um, it's not about, I recognize it, not I started to realize this not because I saw my later chart, but since I was very young, since I was 5 or 6. I mean, I play with a kid in my neighborhood, and when every time they want to know something, they all came to me, and I felt happy when I do that. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so let's talk about why animals. Do you like seeing animals in a zoo? Why and why not? Mm. Personally, I have a strong love for animals in the zoo, especially for wild animals in a zoo, and um, when I was a child, I used to want to be a zoologist. Yeah, because even now, because at that time and even now, I really like I am interested in, you know, researching in what they in the life. Living habitats and how they, how they, live. Yeah. What is your favorite wild animal? Let's see. I would say elephant, just like I mentioned above. Um, uh, uh, because when I thought this is because I I have read a lot of documents and a lot of documents and watch a lot of videos about elephant, and I started to recognize that the way that the elephants the way that the elephants live, they are not just, they play both. They play, their destructive behavior is one of the things that make me impressive to them, impress them the most. Their destructive behavior, all about their destructive behavior. It's not, just, destroy, degrade the environment, the natural environment. You and people often think that when elephant destroy trees and destroy trees to serve own their own sake, people will often may often think that is bad from elephant. But to me, I find that that destructive behavior plays a crucial role in creating more environment, more, living environment for other species, such as squirrels, maybe foxes. Yeah, squirrel, foxes, and maybe, platypus, platypuses. Mhm. How important is it to protect wild animals? Um, Use an adjective to this to answer this question. That would be imperative. Um, Many scientists and biologists have warned us about our human being destroying the uh, this, I would say imperative. Um, many 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 species has been on the verge of now has been on the verge of extinction due to humans degradation human degradation. In fact, in 2000, biologists have biologists claim that the uh, the species break fox have officially was officially extinct. This has uh, that news have that news were a shock to the to the worldwide, because of that, humans started to realize the importance of protecting wild animals, and now and currently I think that people can do it, especially young people can do it by raising the by stop chopping the forest and polluting the water sources, the water. Mm-hmm. Okay.